Hello and welcome everyone to Unlock Ukraine. If you haven't been living under a rock for the past 12-13 months, you probably came across actions Promote Ukraine has done. I am Rika and today I am with the one and only Marta Barandiy. Without her we wouldn't even be here. She is the founding chair of Promote Ukraine. Welcome, Marta.
Thank you, Rika.
So, well, as I mentioned, you founded Promote Ukraine, right? But there is, of course, so much more. It's not the only thing that you've done and that you do. So would you mind just walking us through a little bit through your background, through your resume? So what do you do, actually?
Thank you for asking and giving this opportunity to me. I'm an international lawyer. I studied international law, human rights law, international relations. I studied in Ukraine, in Lviv. I graduated from Ivan Franko University in Lviv. And I also graduated from German University, Saarbrücken. I studied in Europa Institute, European Integration.
So do you speak German? Sorry.
I do speak German, and actually my thesis that I wrote in 2011, my PhD thesis, were in German language. And I published a book in German about sovereignty in international relations, international law.
How many languages do you speak?
7, not all of them perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 4 more or less, like on the level of the native level, mother tongue, but the rest, I think that I understand 90% of what's being said.
Okay.
And I can express myself freely.
So next podcast with Marta is going to be in another language.
Gladly, German.
Yes. So you said you're an international lawyer?
Yes, I'm an international lawyer, so I studied the law, I wrote the thesis, and also I worked at the international law firm, Asters. It's the biggest law firm of Ukraine. I represented them here in Brussels for several years, so this is my specialization. But it's not international private law, it's rather international public law, and it's about sovereignty, it's about the will of the people, it's about the nation and statehood, building the statehood. So basically what I do today with Promote Ukraine, I realize my profession, I fulfill my education, not only the passion, not only I'm the fighting for the sovereignty, for the rights of Ukraine as national of Ukraine, as a person who was born there, but also a person who knows on the level of international law how to defend our country in the EU.
It's also very symbolic that you're sitting right in front of the European Parliament.
Indeed, and I'm very grateful to the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, for giving this opportunity to us and to the whole civil society of Ukraine to be here and to collaborate, to express ourselves, to invite partners and to show who we are and what we do and to show how Ukraine is blooming and that Ukraine deserves to be in the European Union. So indeed, this place here, it's a heart not only of the European Union but the heart of democracy, because this is European Parliament that is being elected by the people of the EU, and we are here in the place that was given by this European Parliament to us. To Ukrainian civil society to be able to bring Ukraine into the EU.
Yes, and as I remember correctly, the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, she gave to you, or her office gave to you the Station Europe very shortly after the full-scale invasion of Russia, right?
Indeed, on the 24th of February, we were only 7 members of Promote Ukraine, but we all had all necessary infrastructure to be able to accommodate more volunteers when the time came. And on 25th of February, we were more than 100. So we had all the possibilities to bring volunteers onto Promote Ukraine, but we did not have a space, we did not have an office. So that's the reason why I wrote a letter to President asking for any space that was available within the European Parliament or beyond, where journalists could come and could ask questions to Ukrainians, where Ukrainians could get together and make some projects. So I wrote this letter, and a week later it was approved. It was given to Ukrainian civil society to be able to do efforts to win this war and to bring Ukraine into the EU.
So you needed a space to conduct the activities of Promote Ukraine. So can you maybe just walk me through a few of the activities that Promote Ukraine does? maybe also before the war and after the war, because I can imagine they differ quite a bit.
What Promote Ukraine is doing? We have been doing before the full-scale invasion conferences, events, raising awareness on what Ukrainian nation wants.
Yes. And so I saw in summer, I think it was in June last year, just as an example of from what I've seen, from the very visible things that Promote Ukraine has done, you conducted a human chain in front of the European Commission. And I think you gathered so many people, way more than expected as well. And it's, of course, it's a very impactful action to do. So from all the activities that Promote Ukraine does, what kind of impacts do you see, maybe on a Belgium level, on a European level, for example?
Indeed, we conducted a human chain around the Parliament building. We gathered more than 1,000 people, not only Ukrainians, but also Europeans who wanted to see Ukraine in the EU as a member of the EU. And this happened 2 days before the announcement that Ukraine is accepted as a candidate member in the EU. We have conducted such human chain also near the NATO, and this is the thing that is important, because at times like this we are also all over the media, and when we are all over the media, then it's not only decision makers that hear us, it's also the citizens, Belgian citizens, but also European citizens, expats, internationals, and people who actually put pressure on the politicians to follow their will, or to follow their way or their expectations. We till now have conducted more than 80 demonstrations in Brussels. Some of them gathered more than 5,000 people, 1,000 people, 8,000 people, so different amounts or different numbers of people. Not only Ukrainians, but as I said previously, also Europeans and internationals. Demonstrations is only one of the things that we do. We do also support for refugees. We have the whole refugee department. We have Prostir as our cultural center, where we could conduct or give opportunities for refugees to have a sense of community, to express themselves. These are all talented people who came to Belgium. These are people who lost their everything in Ukraine. They lost their families, they lost their career, and they are finding themselves here, and we are helping them to feel loved and to feel wanted and to feel seen. So this is what Prostir is doing. We also have a humanitarian aid department, and we sent a lot of aid to Ukraine. We collected more than 300,000 euro last year, and we sent all those aid to the front line, the bulletproof vests, helmets, cars, medical kits, many important and really needed things in Ukraine. So I think that our work is impactful, and we have not only that we have gratefulness from Ukrainians, we also believe that we save lives. Sometimes we have messages from people saying that thank you for that, because it really saved the life of my friend, or it really saved my life. And that is something that we are working for. You know, yesterday I learned that one of man whom we helped, he is a friend of our volunteer, had been killed on the front line. And this is a man to whom we donated as well a bulletproof vest and a helmet a few months ago. It was in Kharkiv. And learning things like that it hurts a lot, because you may ask yourself, what is my impact if I am helping here, but it still doesn't save the life? But actually, altogether, I believe that we can stop this madness. We can stop Putin if we put pressure, if we not only do humanitarian aid, but we also put pressure through manifestations, demonstration, but also through our advocacy work.
Yes, it is needless to say that the work of Promote Ukraine is immensely important. And that's why I think it's also very clear that the European Citizens Prize that you received is more than well-deserved. So can you tell me maybe a little bit more about that?
It is a recognition from the European Parliament that our team has been doing a great job in terms of promoting democracy and doing this through a foreign element or cross-border element. We have got this prize actually in June, like we were informed in June that we will get it, and then in November we have received the prize, and there was a ceremony. And this is a recognition for us and for the team that we are fast, that we are reactive, and that we defend democracy. And I think that this is something that we will always cherish, but not only the recognition from the parliament, which is very important, we are very grateful for that, but also the recognition from Ukrainian servicemen whom we help. We received the awards from and gratefulness letters from elite groups of the Ukrainian armed forces for everything we have done for them. And last time when I went to Kharkiv in October, we received also these awards from the security services of Ukraine and from other security or defense institutions of Ukraine, because we are bringing the humanitarian aid, because we are raising awareness here, and because we are helping Ukrainians here on the ground.
Yes, that is very amazing work. And also thank you for your humanitarian work. Thank you for helping Ukraine and Ukrainians. And as you just mentioned, a big part of Promote Ukraine's work is also to raise awareness, to maybe advocate as well. I know that Promote Ukraine has a very active advocacy team. So that's also what brings me to why we're even here during the podcast. Would you maybe like to explain what the idea of the podcast was, how we came up with that, how you came up with that?
Indeed, we have more than 20 people in the advocacy team, and I always wanted to make them heard because these people are usually doing the job behind closed doors. They are not seen. They are doing the job at home, and then they are meeting online with the team, and then they conduct the meetings with the politicians, with the decision makers, and we do not really promote it, because sometimes these meetings are not to be promoted. These meetings are, behind closed doors. You have to make sure that you don't compromise your arguments. But in general, we have some points on the agenda, and these points are usually taken from the civil society organizations in Ukraine. We don't do it on our own. Of course, we are always in contact with Ukrainian civil society organizations such as Yellow Ribbon, such as Center for Civil Liberties, such as Vox Ukraine, and we are taking their opinion into consideration when we are advocating here in the European Union for the Ukrainian cause. And why this podcast is important is because my advocacy team has opportunity to speak and to make sure that what they are saying behind closed doors is nicely formulated and expressed to the wider public, to people who want to know more what we do, but also to people who want to support our cause and support our narratives. But how will they know what our narratives are if we are not saying what they are?
Yes, and also learn more about the topics that actually matter. So what's going on in the EU?
It's like about designating Russia a terrorist state is about the special tribunal on aggression. It's about help to Ukraine in investigating the war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the aspects of genocide. And as I mentioned, we collaborate with other organizations in Ukraine to make these narratives heard not only in the wider public or decision makers behind closed doors, but also to make sure that these narratives are being put into the resolutions. We are in touch with Tyra, who also suggests, Tyra is Yulia Payevska, is a volunteer, medical volunteer. She was a prisoner of war by Russia, and she was liberated recently. We are in contact with her as well, and we have a collaboration agreement. We help with the humanitarian, on the humanitarian way to her team, in order for her to be able to help frontline. But also we take from her the narratives that are important for here. And we are putting in the resolutions, like the resolution of the European Economic Social Committee, the third resolution on Ukraine, included around 5 propositions from Promote Ukraine that were suggested by our partners in Ukraine, including by Tyra and Yellow Ribbon and Center for Civil Liberties.
So yeah, you can really say that Promote Ukraine is this almost, yeah, maybe you can say this bridge between civil society, because you are in touch with civil societies, you are in touch with the people who see everything, people who matter.
Messenger. We are sort of a messenger for them, or a voice of civil society, Ukrainian civil society here in Brussels. And we would like to, first of all, we would like to position ourselves like this, but I think this is also the role that we are already doing or taking. And this is also how we are being seen by certain organizations or activists or people. And I hope that we can continue this way, and we can make their voice, the Ukrainian civil society voice, be even louder and clearer heard in Brussels.
So as much as I enjoy talking to you with this podcast and also talk about important topics, this is not the only way to bring the information to people from Promote Ukraine, because here we also have the journal, the Brussels Ukraina review. This is already the sixth edition? The 10th edition. Wow, okay, because I remember the first edition came out in 2019.
Indeed. Look, this is a 10th edition with Roberta Metsola, with Krista Schwenk, the president of the European Economic Social Committee, and with our Minister of Defense, Reznikov, on the first page, on the main page. This journal is about EU-Ukraine-Russia relations, and it gives opportunity to experts of the European Union and Ukraine to express their opinion on where they see Ukraine, Russia, or EU in geopolitical context. Indeed, the first journal was in 2019, but you know, the most important edition is of 2021, a December edition. It is the edition of Curb the Attack. It is when we were warning the whole establishment of the EU, Brussels establishment, but also we distributed the journal in Ukraine. And in this edition, we already mentioned that Russia is preparing mass graves and filtration camps. We could not believe it ourselves, but this is something that was already in the law of Russia before 2022, and we put it in our edition of 2021 in December. Everyone can find it on our website, on promoteukraine.org. This is very symbolic, as well as this edition, that of Roberta Metsola being featured in our journal. So I call on everyone to read the journal and to contribute, because we are very open to receiving the opinions, pieces, articles, interviews for the journal. It's two language editions. Mm-hmm. Ukrainian and English, though the symbolic one of 2021 was in 4 languages. It was in German, French, English, and Ukrainian.
Yes, that edition was the epitome of, now you can say, we told you so, or it shows the expertise that the insights and the expertise that Promote Ukraine.
I have to underline that this war today started not even in 2014, it started in 2013 with the Euromaidan revolution, with the revolution of dignity, when Putin wanted to stop the European integration of Ukraine, and our government was sort of blackmailed or was bought by Putin for $3 billion of US dollars in Eurobond. So that is why Ukrainian nation started its fight for the right cause, for European values, for human rights, and for rule of law. So I believe that this is Ukrainian nation who has to have a will, or who has to be able to express its will also within the European Union. I believe so.
Actually has. So.
And you know, Rika, I'm very grateful to you that you keep on helping us with podcasts, or you keep on doing and conducting this podcast, because you were the one who started them. You were the one 2 years ago.
Yes.
This is, of course, the new series, the series Unlock Ukraine, here from Brussels, from Station Europe. But already on that time, you offered your voice, your lovely voice, to our audience. And I'm very grateful to you, and I wish you a lot of success in conducting further podcasts with our guests.
Thank you. It's for the best cause possible for me. So I also always enjoy talking to you, Marta. It was a pleasure as usual.
Pleasure was mine.
So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure. We look forward to bring to you more interesting things. We are going to talk with experts, with decision makers, with civil society people, of course, with experts from Promote Ukraine. And if you want to follow our work and stay up to date, you can find us everywhere under the name Promote Ukraine. We will put all the links you need to have in the description box. So please make sure to follow, to like our things if you want to support us. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye!